Hey folks, it's Dave Smith, Correctional Officer Lifestyle. Once again, I'm coming to you from my gym. Um, as I mentioned before, I'm trying to get my videos out a little bit faster. So here it is. It's the fourth in a video series of correctional officer jobs that you'll find in the Department of Corrections. Now, I can't speak for most other departments of corrections across the United States of America. I can speak for the state of Florida, though. One of my personal favorite positions that I ever worked as a CO was as a confinement officer, often referred to as segregation in several other departments across the U.S., but confinement is basically what it's called in Florida. And confinement is for inmates that have shown an inability to get along with inmates in open population. There are several other purposes for it. Inmates possibly under a medical quarantine, similar to what we've got going on in this country right now with the pandemic for the COVID-19 virus, awaiting transfers to another facility, etc. It goes on and on and on. You know, it is either a voluntary or an involuntary segregation of an inmate from the general population for a multitude of reasons. But you ask any correctional officer what confinement is for, and confinement is for inmates that can't get along with other inmates in open population. Okay, these are the ones that are disciplinary problems. These are the inmates that have presented an inability to cooperate with other inmates, and the officer that is in a confinement unit with them, it needs to be a special breed, because you're putting a great deal of your management problem inmates in one location, and that officer really needs to be not a special breed per se, but of a different mindset than a standard dormitory officer. I had a captain one time in my young career when I was a confinement officer explain to me that there are three types of officers that you need. That was three. I was holding up the number three. Three types of officers that you need to run a confinement unit. Number one, you need a leader. Generally, that's going to be your sergeant of the unit. It's going to be your leader. So you got to have a leader. You got to have somebody holding the reins. You got to have somebody that's making the decisions, taking care of the day-to-day operations of the unit, make sure the paperwork's right, make sure the inmates have what they need, make sure the inmates have all that we are authorized to give them, i.e. their health and comfort items, make sure they receive the uniforms they're supposed to have, they get 3 squares a day, and everything of that nature. Also make sure they don't have what they're not allowed to have. And in the state of Florida, we have an administrative confinement and a disciplinary confinement. Disciplinary confinement is for inmates that have gone through the disciplinary process and have received X amount of days in a confinement cell outside of the general population as a disciplinary tool to help correct the behavior that got them into confinement in the first place. So that's what the leader does. That's the leader's role, is to make sure that the ship is headed in the right direction, it's on an even keel, and everything is good. You have to have the voice of reason. The voice of reason is the officer that can de-escalate a situation simply by being there. That is one of the most important officers that you'll have in a confinement unit, because, believe it or not, you put all your management problems in one area, you let them go without any supervision whatsoever, they will be swinging from the rafters and creating all sorts of hoopla and hooting and hollering and just creating a den that you can't do anything with. And when you have one that's just down there raising sand for the sake of raising sand, just doing everything that he can to disrupt the unit, you send your voice of reason down there, and if you have a worthwhile voice of reason, he can go down there and de-escalate that situation before anybody else has to get involved, and it is a great and wonderful thing to have that voice of reason. That was often my job. When I was in the confinement unit, I was the voice of reason. I was the one that went down there and tried to de-escalate the situation, before it turned into something. So that individual right there has I have a soft spot for that person, that de-escalating factor. But as we all know, there are some inmates that just can't be talked down. There are some people that you just can't reason with. You just can't talk them down. And that's when you need your catch dog. That is what this captain described this person as, is a catch dog. Think of it in you're hunting hogs scenario, and you send the dogs in to catch the hogs. It's catch dog. This person is there for when things go south. I have personally seen in my career an inmate slip his hands right out of a pair of handcuffs, and yeah, he's loose. He's loose in your confinement unit, and that's when you send in your catch dog, because at that point in time, if he's out of the cell and he's done slipped out of his handcuffs and he's loose and he's might even assaulted the officer that pulled him out, you got to have your catch dog. You got to have him, but you got to have your leader as well, getting the cavalry en route. Confinement is not the place where you want to put a rookie. Confinement is not the place where you want somebody that doesn't care. You want people that care in confinement. You want people that care about their jobs. You want people that care about their fellow officers. And you want people that care about them inmates. The catch dog is there to prevent staff and other officers from getting hurt. His main focus is to deal with an out-of-control disciplinary problem. If you have an inmate that is small enough and wiry enough to slide out of a confinement cell through the handcuffing portal, then yeah, you've got a problem. You have a serious issue, and that's what you've got your catch man for. All right, folks, I think confinement has a special place in my heart because I worked it so much. I would say over half of my 26 years was spent in a confinement unit, either as an officer or a sergeant. I loved it. I absolutely loved being a sergeant. I take nothing away from being a lieutenant or a captain, but a confinement sergeant or a confinement officer, that's where my heart is. That's what I did when I was in the officer and sergeant trainings, was confinement, and I loved it. I really did. So, like I said, folks, the most valuable person on that team, in my eyes, is going to be the voice of reason, the one that can go down there and de-escalate a situation before it turns into something that can't be managed. That person right there, especially if you have a mentally handicapped inmate, somebody that has mental health issues, you want your voice of reason to go down there, because this person, whether they've been trained or not, has an innate ability to de-escalate a situation, and de-escalation is what you are always looking for in a situation that's going haywire, especially in your confinement unit. Folks, I don't have anything else for the confinement officers. Remember, I'm on a crusade. Love shouldn't hurt. If you are in an abusive relationship, please find a way out of it. If you know somebody that is in an abusive relationship, help them find their way out of it. And I'm going to go on ahead and add everything in here. I am my brother's keeper. I am also my sister's keeper. Folks, if you know one of your brothers or sisters in the law enforcement community is in trouble, the worst thing you can do is nothing. Remember, I am my brother's keeper, I am my sister's keeper, and love shouldn't hurt, folks. It's Dave Smith, Correctional Officer Lifestyle. You like what you see, hit the like button. You want to see more, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell so you know when I post new videos. That's all I got for this one. I'll see y'all in the next video.